it was amazing to me that they never made the connection, but that people are so stupid or unwilling to see the connection that, well, that's our tax dollars. We may not be paying more for our food at the checkout, but we're paying more for it through our taxes because it's subsidized. And how that whole cycle of lies and passing the buck from one place to another and kind of this shell game, it was startling to me. And because, you know, you and I, we've chosen to be vegan, and we eat organics and natural foods as often as possible, and we're real picky about it. We go to restaurants that support locally grown products and things like that. And yet, not everyone does. And the one thing that I found interesting was the company that everyone really considers to be the big bad devil, Walmart. It was interesting to see how they deal with this because, you know, love it or hate it, Walmart's about the bottom line. And it was shown that Walmart is the biggest distributor of organic dairy products because the shoppers of Walmart said with their wallet that they want that kind of product or that they don't want certain chemicals in their milk. And so Walmart decided to take a stand for them and only bring in those types of products that are, their dairy doesn't have a certain kind of chemical in it. They carry Stony, whatever it is, organic.
Stonyfield or something.
Stonyfield like Organics or whatever. And how it was a direct result to where people were putting their money. And so when you were watching the movie, at the very end, there's a payoff, but one thing stood out to you.
Yeah.
What was it?
He was talking about, you know, we have a chance to change this. He says, we can vote, we can change this, and you have that option 3 times a day. So it really resonated with me. And it was...
Well, what did that mean?
It meant, what am I putting in my mouth for my 3 meals a day? And what am I purchasing for those 3 meals? Make a conscious choice and put the best things in your home, in your family's mouths, in your mouth, and choose organic and choose locally grown.
It's true that we vote with our wallet.
Yep.
That's the power of consumerism. That's why everyone says that the market will work it out. Because it's true that we as consumers put our money where we want our money to go. And the artificial repairing of the economy, letting the government put money where it thinks it should go, that's stupid. It isn't real. It's just pissing money away. And we really do have the ability, such that, you know, we have a grocery store here, a chain called Harmon's, and it's kind of more of a specialty grocery store. It's not a huge national chain. It's pretty regionally localized. And even between store to store, like there's a Harmon's right here near the studio, and there's a Harmon's 7 miles south. Well, the Harmon's 7 miles south has a huge selection of natural products, organics. It's huge. I go to the Harmon's that's behind the studio here, and it's about a quarter the size. And when I asked them, well, why don't you have this? Well, because people don't buy them here. They don't sell. They just sit on the shelf. So apparently 7 miles away, those people buy more than these people. And I realized that even on the macro level where, the micro level where it's store to store, not just chain wide, but just store to store, we in our community control what's in that store.
Yep.
Because if everyone at this store that's 2 miles from the studio decided they would only buy organics, naturals, healthy foods, that store would look very different. It'd look like a Whole Foods all of a sudden. Yeah,
and I think of that. I was thinking that when we left there and I had gone to do some shopping at the Walmart by my house, they have Jack U Squat for organics or anything that's vegan. Seriously, like I think they carry the Amy's pizzas, and I think that might be it. So as far as any natural stuff, I'm SOL, other than soy milk or rice milk.
Right.
So it really reminded me watching that show. I get to support locally, and next summer when there's all the farmers markets, I'm going to those farmers markets and I'm going to buy me some produce every week to go support those people and to continue that cause.
Well, that reminds me to go to grocery stores that support it as well. You know, Harmon's, the one 7 miles away, obviously supports me better than the one that's 2 miles away from the studio. Just like Whole Foods or Sunflower Farmers Market supports me better than maybe that Harmon's that's 7 miles away.
Yeah.
It comes back to when we were talking about this is why you're fat. We have to be willing to go and support those resources that support us in what we're committed to create with our health and fitness and wellness. Because this movie did exactly what I believe they set out to do, and that was to cause a conversation about what do we eat, what are we putting our energy behind, what are we choosing, so that at the end of the day, who's accountable? Because we as consumers created it such that there's only 5 companies that create all the food in the United States. You know, we did that by how we shop, by how we buy. You know, we talked about the fact that right across the street from the McDonald's, there was this natural foods version of McDonald's called U Food Grill. Well, in a community that statistically should be able to support that, they didn't. They kept going across the street to McDonald's. And they voted with their wallet. And as a result, they voted McDonald's into the neighborhood and they voted U Food Grill out of the neighborhood. And now there's an In-N-Out burger. And people are voting with their wallet to go to In-N-Out.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. That reminds me that, you know, as far as wearing labels, our clothes, how much money do people spend extra for that label? If a woman could walk into a store and get this beautiful Gucci coat, or she could, you know, spend less and not have that Gucci label on it, this exact coat, a lot of women would spend that extra money to get that coat just for that label and then leave there and go to freaking McDonald's or something to eat. And not worrying an 18th of what's going into our bodies as what's on the outside.
So true. And
I'm so sick of hearing the conversation people have with, I can't eat the organic stuff. It's so expensive and blah, blah, blah. I want to spend my money elsewhere. It's like, if you don't want to spend it on nourishing your body, you only have one body for this life experience. If you're not going to take care of it, then freaking give up now. Give up now. Because that's what you're essentially doing. And if people just, you know, if they would eat that organic food and take care of their bodies inside and out, they would see that a lot of the toxins would be flushed. They wouldn't be as hungry, thereby eating less. And the actual nutrients in those foods would go into and sustain and support our bodies.
Well, and talk about one body for this Earth experience. We only have one planet.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, learning about how our food is manufactured and the fact that something like, I can't remember what he said, a third or a half of all the fuel consumption in the United States is for the dairy and agricultural industry. Like the meat and the chicken and moving all the cows around here and there. And
yeah.
I mean, I can't remember the exact number, but it was a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
Disproportionate to say the least. And I realized that when people purport or are proponents of vegetarian or vegan lifestyles or growing or eating locally, where even dairy farms that are local and cattle manufacturing or whatever that is locally makes a huge impact on this planet. That if you're eating dairy that's from a dairy farm that's 20 miles away versus a dairy farm that's 500 miles away, there's a significant difference in the impact of that gallon of milk just from those two places, let alone whether there's chemicals or anything like that in it. So I realized the beautiful part about this film, and it's called Food Inc., and I highly recommend everybody watch it.
Yeah.
What I found was that there are so many different areas of how we make choices that can affect this. Whether it's buying locally or organically or vegan or vegetarian or boycotting genetically modified foods like cloned meats and the soybeans that are Roundup resistant. We can make some very specific choices based on what's important to us. Because you know what? It may not be important to us that